So, I was recently working on something that involves looking at Kim Possible. Hilariously, I wound up not including the show in the finished project at all, but I was reminded of something that becomes more and more apparent the more you watch this show. I mean, I only rewatched a couple specific episodes and it's pretty clear to me that Ron might just be him. And you know, this is oddly consistent. Ron is supposed to be the unpopular contrast to Kim, but there are several examples that show that he's like one or two changes away from massive popularity. In that regard, his biggest enemy might just be the status quo. Like, yeah, on the surface, he's a goofy, cowardly sidekick that follows the main character around and helps in little ways. But when you really look at the show, even without going into detail, Ron's achievements are insane. He might actually be the most powerful person in the show, held back by his own laziness and cowardice. Frankly, it's a testament to how much of a badass Kim is that she's the undeniable powerhouse of their team until the last episode. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's because Ron has magic monkey powers. And if that's not what you're thinking, it's probably been a while since you've seen the show and you're probably very confused. But even without taking his mystical monkey powers into account, the show has maintained, with surprising consistency, that Ron is literally an attitude adjustment away from thriving. Even before the whole magic monkey thing happened, as early as the second episode, Ron showed how resourceful and smart he is when facing off against Gil to rescue Kim and the cheerleading team, taking down the mutant fish monster while in the lake he was mutated in. Ron is shown to be fully capable of stepping up to the plate to save the day when Kim is out of commission, like when she was knocked out on the Fearless Ferret. In the sick day episode, he even successfully comes up with a plan to break into Draken's lair on his own with, honestly, surprising efficiency. Ron's intelligence when it comes to things he's interested in is not to be underestimated. He loves food and is pretty much a culinary genius where Kim is decidedly not. When he starts actively cooking, he practically immediately takes over their school's cafeteria. He thrives while working for Bueno Nacho and gets promoted after he had a literally multi-million-dollar idea in episode 6, and it took the money being stolen to reset the status quo. Actually, he should still be getting royalties even after that. It took like 40 episodes and I believe less than 2 years for him to make $99 million off the Naco. Assuming he's still getting paid and his parents have just realized that he clearly can't be trusted with the money at his age, in all likelihood, he is set for life once he's an adult. Ron may present himself like an idiot, but when he's forced to apply himself, he just casually does impressive stuff. He fakes being a genius in the Naked Genius episode, but when his life is on the line, he does show that he can build dangerous weapons if necessary. Even his decision to not do anything for the science fair is built on his understanding that his partner wouldn't want to fail and knowing he could get away with being lazy. But he then shows that he can put in the required effort to succeed when there's a rampaging mutant dinosaur they need to stop. And of course, we cannot forget when Ron turns evil. Thanks to the Attitudinator, Ron absorbs Dr. Draken's evil and gains all the focus he's lacked. Then he builds a plasma grenade launcher from scratch. He is so good at being evil, Shigo drops Draken for him and then comes to regret it because he is actually threatening as a boss. He is so good at being evil, he takes Kim's interference into account, figures out a way to track a location no one else has thought of before, and creates a bluff and distraction that almost works. He is so good at being evil, it was determined that the best good deed Draken could do was take that evil back. No exaggeration, he is straight up smarter than Draken in this episode. And the machine didn't do anything extra to him, all it did was give him Draken's evilness and he was able to go so much farther with it. But that's just his intelligence. His physical power is nothing to sneeze at either. He's only able to be Kim's sidekick because he can keep up with her, even if he's more clumsy. And when he and Kim switch bodies, he is physically capable of performing on the same level she normally does. He just lacks the skill to pull it off himself. This all changes by episode 13, Monkey Fist Strikes, where, caught up in the scheme of Lord Monty Fisk, Ron is infused with mystical monkey power and becomes the practitioner of monkey kung fu. Not enough to take on his opponent, who on top of being infused with said magical powers was a master of the martial art and had genetically altered himself to have monkey hands and feet. This show was weird, but enough to outsmart him and succeed in the mission. It's unclear how much the monkey power enhanced Ron's physical abilities. What is clear is that later Ron is able to outmaneuver and avoid capture by both the mind-controlled Shigo and Kim. And while yes, the mind control seems to have made them less coordinated, it's still Shigo and Kim at the same time. He gets even better after receiving ninja training at the Yamanouchi Ninja School, where it's revealed he can use the transforming Lotus Blade because of his monkey powers. As it turns out, he's a prophesized monkey master or something like that, who was entrusted with training the Great Han, a super ninja baby. This show was really weird. This probably explains why, unlike Monkey Fist and Rufus, he can channel blue magic energy to do really impressive stuff. For some bizarre reason though, the ninjas decided not to tell him much about any of that, and just kinda snuck the Great Han into his life as his adopted sister. But when Monkey Fist threatened her safety, he really locked in and showed that he definitely knows how to fight. Side note, I can't lie, after watching every episode with her so close to each other, I got real tired of Yori's American style running joke.
Rev the engine.
Much like his intelligence, Ron is practically a different beast when he's trying instead of being scared. In the time travel 3-parter, he gets so angry when he realizes Shigo's the reason he was sent to Norway, he throws the genetically altered Draken that can shatter statues that Kim couldn't beat across the room like it was nothing. When fighting Eric after he betrayed Kim, he kicked the Synthro drone so hard he'd have been dead if he was human. When he's turned evil again, he goes from cowering against the army of Wegos to beating them up and trying to take over Electronic's evil scheme. Seeing Shigo go, oh shit, after it happened was hilarious. She definitely remembers him threatening to make her shark food. Nothing shows how much of a difference his mindset really makes more than the sharp contrast between good Ron and evil Ron in the exact same situations. We even go back to the fact he can keep up with Kim when we see that he's fast enough to be the star running back of his school's football team, which I'm pretty sure I'd be more impressed by if I knew anything about American football. Yeah, it's played as a joke in regard to his constant running away from danger, but the joke is still a compliment. He and Shaggy have a lot in common, the cowardly yet surprisingly skilled athletic members of the team who can go Super Saiyan. Oh yeah, right, Super Saiyan. At the end of the series, faced with alien invaders, one of whom is the self-proclaimed greatest warrior in the galaxy, Ron finally taps into his powers and goes Super Saiyan. And the amusing thing is, unlike almost every other time someone uses that as a reference, this one is actually tied to a monkey. Frieza would be proud. He then easily defeats both Warhawk and Warmonger in a fight and throws them into their falling spaceship. Damn, that thing must have been falling for a while. For reference, Warmonger alone was able to take on both Shigo and Kim with her battle suits in a pure physical fight. She only lost to invisibility and having her own weapon stolen. Also, can I just say, the battle suit is a really weird and honestly poorly written narrative device that was clearly created with the idea it would never actually be used in a real episode. They did not expect to get that 4th season. If they got a 5th, I wonder how they'd have locked down Ron's powers. All this, and I haven't even touched upon his shockingly good luck with ladies. You'd think Kim wouldn't be the one in this relationship with the clearest examples of jealousy, but I guess there's a reason she has green eyes. All things considered, for all his insecurities, Ron is a shockingly solid partner and sidekick. I can't even just say that he has potential, we see what he can do, and it's kind of terrifying. And yet, his biggest weakness is his inability to express that. I think the most telling episode, which has very little to do with either his intelligence or his physical strength, is when Kim and Ron are hit with a truth beam that makes them completely honest, and Ron absolutely thrives with confidence he just can't muster up on his own once it wears off. What Ron really needs is the same mindset Kim has when she says anything's possible for possible. Frankly, I think it's a lesson we could all stand to learn. And the fun thing about the show being over is that I can say, yes, that is exactly what he learned. And there isn't a follow-up episode to contradict me. Shout out to my patrons, A and Skyman. What do you think of the Ron?
NVIDIA is allegedly, I'm going to throw in an allegedly there, even though I totally believe all of this. Allegedly, I believe it. After NVIDIA withheld the 8GB variant of the 5060 Ti, which led to delayed coverage, this is my personal theory, although I think a lot of other folks agree with me, delayed coverage as a strategy to bury any reviews of it so that people searching for this card would only find search optimized coverage of the 16 gigabyte variant, NVIDIA has struck again with the RTX 5060. Tech Spot, Hardware Unboxed, Hardware Lux, and many more. Does many more include LTT Labs?
Many more. Yeah.
Have confirmed that they are not receiving drivers for the RTX 5060 until its launch date, May 19th. The cherry on top is not only does this delay any non-rushed review of this card, but May 19th is the first day of Computex, meaning that, I mean, this says several, but I would say many reviewers won't be able to test the card at all, since they are going to be working on the show floor doing coverage of all the cool tech that you guys want to hear about.
I do think less reviewers are going to shows these days, but
Add
it's still
Astra.
true.
I mean, we're going to be there.
Yeah.
I'm going to have
you
some
for
fun. I love Computex. I'm
Badminton time?
I'm actually excited to play badminton, and also Computex was there. Genuinely, though, I do enjoy Computex more than CES. I never got to do CeBIT, which I heard was really good, but Computex is my favorite of the remaining shows that I have been to.
Me too, for sure. Here's a very off-topic question, just to get the show started off right.
Okay, wasn't quite done with that topic, but sure.
We can come back. Are you gonna be able to go to badminton centers in Taiwan without just like inspecting everything?
Oh, don't imagine that I wasn't already doing that for years. I mean,
Fair enough.
I've wanted to build my own center for, I think my first email to my realtor was over 5 years ago.
Realm is
So like, dude, I've been on it. I've been on it. No, my buddy over there who runs like half a dozen centers when I was there last year,
you ever-
and I think was like in the process of opening up 2 more, because the year before when I went there, he had just opened 1 center, and I was like, dude, you did a great job. I can't believe the budget you did this on. The demand for this is so high and completely unmet. Every time I come here, it's like impossible to find a court. You should just like do more of this. But like, you know, that's not, you know, advice or anything. Like, I didn't want to be responsible for like his whole financial situation. So I come back a year later
YOLO'd.
and he fucking went all in and started up like 5 more centers. And he was like, and I owe you for it all, because I wouldn't have done it if you like didn't tell me to do it. And I was like, yo, dog, you owe me nothing for one thing.
I don't want to be on the hook for that.
Because if it had gone terrible, you definitely would have owed me nothing in that situation too. This is all on you. You did a great job, but apparently he's killing it. Like just killing it. So anyway, I'm gonna go see my buddy when I'm over there. But where was I going with this? I forget. So yeah, I've been scoping them out.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, the point is, several outlets are once again accusing NVIDIA of trying to bury any negative coverage of this card before the cards hit the shelves and consumers start ordering them.
Can't think of another explanation I have not heard.
But here's the thing. Like, I can't fathom NVIDIA at this point. Because on the one hand, they like play these silly games, and they will swear up and down that they are not playing games in situations like this, that the drivers just weren't quite ready yet, or whatever, right? But if the drivers aren't ready yet, then just delay it. Okay, so we can poke logical holes in any argument around this, right? You are playing games. Right, okay. So now that we've established you are playing games, the question is why?
Yeah, what's the point?
Because every other aspect of your behavior indicates you don't give a fuck about these value-oriented GeForce cards. So why? The stakes are so low for you. I've called for this before. I'm gonna do it again. Spin off GeForce. Just spin it off as a separate business unit. Then you don't have to worry about the crappy P&L that's like mucking up your beautiful AI, self-driving, machine vision, you know, friggin' digits, grid, like beautiful balance sheet, right? It can just sit over there and have like crappier margins and a bunch of retail customers that are like a ton of work and like are whining at you all the time, and you got this tech media that basically has a borderline adversarial relationship with you at this point. You just go silo that off. You license the chip technology to them. They handle all the GeForce drivers and everything. Why not? What is the argument against it at this point? Because they clearly, like, you look at how botched the 50 series launch has been. They clearly don't have their eye on the prize. They're not on the ball when it comes to GeForce because they're demotivated. All the money isn't working on this other stuff. So you need to have a separate BU, or even I dare say, separate company. NVIDIA GeForce. Call it GeForce Gaming Corp or something. Who cares? You have this separate company whose entire job is to crush it in GeForce. Is to delight gamers, you know, like you used to. Because I just don't understand it. They say there's no game, right? But like, and like, what is the point?
It's like of way lower importance, and it like has to be when looking at their financial statements. But when you look at like the original CES announcement of the 5000 series, he still led with GeForce stuff. The vast majority of the presentation.
It's just the hook.
No, I know. But if that's still the hook, then I don't think you split it off.
I'm not convinced that the average NVIDIA data center procurer, you know, chief procurement person at some AI thing, I'm not convinced that they really give two hoots about how good a RTX whatever is. I don't know, man.
No, for sure, but there might be an expectation that they do. And if you get that chief procurer guy to buy a 5090, I do think there's a higher chance that that person will have some type of bias towards that.
Sure, but there's plenty of cases where you have somewhat affiliated companies who cross-license technology between them, and they could still, you could even call it like NVIDIA Corp and NVIDIA Gaming Corp, right? Like there's no reason not to still, you know, retain some NVIDIA, you know, branding, retain some association. The beginning of that keynote could have been, we're excited to announce with our partner GeForce Corp, based on our all new architecture, the GeForce whatever.
I don't think
Jensen could even hire himself as the CEO of the other company. I don't care. The point is just that they got to get it off the balance sheet so they can get realistic about what consumers can afford in terms of their margins.
I don't think it's going to change. What do you mean by realistic in terms of what consumers can afford? Because they're selling everything right now anyways. So like, in regards to what they will pay, which is all that they actually care about, not what can they afford, they're doing it. So maybe they are really realistic about it. Like, if we're just being honest, because every time that there's been a GPU shortage, or, you know, everybody buying cards for mining or whatever, they've flown off the shelves every time. And consumers have shown that they'll buy scalped GPUs for $3,000 a pop because they want 4 more FPS in Fortnite. Like, this is... You just can't use the word realistic when they're like out of stock everywhere.
And that's the other hole that I can poke in their "we're not playing games" story. They're going to be out of stock anyway.
Yeah.
So launch it a week.
That's the biggest one for me.
So launch it a week later or 2 weeks later. It doesn't matter. Keep the production going full tilt, which you obviously haven't been doing anyway.
Yeah.
Produce as much as you can, and you're still going to sell it on launch day anyway.
Just in case that's confusing for people, he means because they're putting production towards data center stuff instead of these cards.
With that said, prices have started to creep down.
A little bit.
They're creeping down, though.
I don't think that's NVIDIA stated prices, though.
Not as no, because, well, they've never officially changed the MSRPs, so
yeah.
But the street prices are slowly ticking their way down. There's not really any pressure on them on the high end, but
there's none.
You know what? I'm taking some validation here. I'm gonna do a little victory lap. I know, unusual thing. Go ahead, press the button. But he doesn't know.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, anyway. I think that Intel's presence in the market is a threat.
Oh yeah, I mean, I hope so, dude.
That's the theory that I've clung to, and Battle Mage seems legit, and seems to be selling legit. Do you see how many board partners they have now? Like that's an
No,
indication.
I haven't looked into that.
Dude, we're at the point now where they're like almost breaking into brands you would have considered buying a GPU from before Intel GPUs
One
existed.
quick sec. I know it's not like it got a low amount of views. It got over 1 million views, but this video is very interesting. And if you haven't watched it, you should go watch it. It's not just like, oh, did I have bugs or not? The conclusion is very interesting, and how they both got to their individual conclusions is very interesting. You should go watch the video.
Like you can buy an Arc B580 from like Acer or ASRock. ASRock, I'd say, is like the closest we're getting to like a real add-in board partner. When I start seeing like, you know, MSI, Gigabyte, Asus putting their necks out to want to be part of the Arc train, then I'm gonna really be a believer. But at least it's not all, you know, Onyx.
Yeah.
Onyx does seem to be a significant player for Intel here, so there does seem to be a little bit of desperation factor, but they're not the only one anymore, and that's exciting to me. So I'm gonna say, hey, I'm glad, I'm standing behind everything I said about the importance of Intel being part of this, and like we said in the title of that video Luke just popped up, please, Intel, do not can discrete graphics, please. Because the thing is, it's not like they're going to stop development of Arc. Arc is a key strategic piece for them, continuing to compete with AMD on mobility. So it's not like Celestial and Druid are not going to be developed. It's just a question of whether we're going to get the large scale, more power hungry ones that would go in and add in GPU. And it is not a good sign that B770, the bigger card for this generation, is allegedly canceled. Although I did see a rumor that allegedly it is like uncanceled, or maybe was never canceled and maybe is still coming.
Dude, the rumor mill around Intel's GPUs has actually been horrible.
Oh, I know.
Like, it's been way more inflammatory and also inaccurate than most rumor mill cycles
Oh, dude,
are.
I'm not going to name a particular YouTuber, but there's a particular YouTuber that on like a super regular basis would be talking about how Arc is definitely canceled now. Like repeatedly, to the point where I'm just like, dude, even a broken clock is right a couple times a day. Like, can you just not even bother anymore at this point? Because like I just got tired of reading it.
Yeah.
And other sites would just pick up these rumors and just run with them. And I'm like, do you have any idea how stressful that is to the people that actually work within that department, that are just
Kinda rough.
like, what? And then it turns out to not even be true, and we 100% get Arc Battle Mage. It's like, okay, so what was this based on? Like, I don't know, man. Anyway, I'm not gonna name and shame. I'm not interested in naming and shaming, but apparently B770 is anticipated to feel, you know what, I'm not even gonna read these specs, but I really hope it happens, because Battle Mage, man. Let's go. All right, what else we got? You want to talk about the other big one?
Sure, why not?
Can Nintendo just like be likable
No.
for once?
Nope.
Like I just want to, it's kind of like, okay, what's it like? Okay, it's like if you love Kit Kats, you know? And you just want to enjoy your Kit Kat without thinking about all the fucking water this company is stealing from all the poorest people on Earth.
Nestle. Yeah.
And you're just like, I can't even enjoy this. I just want to guilt-free enjoy Mario. Okay? I don't want to think about the beast that I'm feeding.
Can you even, like, would something like this?
Oh no, I'm sorry, Cobby. Kit Kat is Nestle?
Yeah.
Why? I know.
So many things are Nestle.
I love Kit Kats.
Turns out it's easy to be profitable when you're just objectively evil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, look, we're pretty profitable. And I don't think we do.
Imagine how much more profitable. Think
Right?
about all the gambling sponsorships.
Right.
Oh
all the
my
like all the
goodness.
all the alcohol sponsorships
Oh,
we could have taken
dude.
over the years.
Yeah. Sponsorships.
Right.
Oh
all the There are some new Android scam protections. And this video is not out yet, but we did a collaboration with Kit Boga recently that was a lot of fun and was both eye-opening and also extremely terrifying. It's not something I dedicate a lot of my brain cycles to. It's not something that I have really experienced with my aging relatives, but there are so many different angles of attack from scammers that I just never heard of, and he really kind of like, I don't know, he kind of red pilled me. Okay, so I get it now. I am now aware of what's out there, and the world is trash, and it's full of people who are trash and are gonna try and take everything from you for no reason other than that you have it and they don't. And that sucks, and thank you very much, Kit. I appreciate you very much. Anyway, at Android I/O this week, Google announced new tools in Android 16 aimed at protecting users from such scams. They have new in-call protections that prevent users from taking risky actions, such as granting accessibility permissions or sideloading an app for the first time if you are in call. That is super cool. That's a way for Android to stay open and allow sideloading and allow special accessibility permissions, but not allow somebody to get you to do that while you are on a phone call with them. So that seems pretty neat. If you are screen sharing during a phone call, Android will now automatically prompt you to stop sharing at the end of the call, and they're piloting a program in the UK where launching a participating banking app while screen sharing with an unknown contact will trigger a warning from Android and give you the option to end the call and stop screen sharing with one tap. Scam detection is an AI-powered tool for scam detection in text that will warn when it spots suspicious conversation patterns. And Key Verifier allows you and the person you're messaging to verify the identity of the other party through public encryption keys to help thwart imposters, e.g. SIM swaps. My only concern here is that the kinds of users who, from working with Kit on that video, seem to be targeted by these folks may not be helped that much by this. It seems like they are accustomed to a very unsophisticated, non-savvy user. Like, I was amazed at how dense we had to pretend to be in order to get them to hang up on us. Like, Luke, I asked this one guy to sing me happy birthday. Plouf and Adam both succeeded in getting the scammer to sing them happy birthday. I asked mine, who's your daddy and what does he do? That wasn't enough to deter him. So the angle for the video, so you guys know what to expect, it's gonna be a blast. I think we shot 2 videos. One for our channel, one for Kit's, I think, or both for our channel. I don't know. We did something. I think we did one for, I think the other one was for Kit's channel. Anyway, the point was I just went where they told me to go, and I wasn't me on camera. Anyway, so for ours, we try to make the unscammable PC. And then, yeah, the one that I think is going live on his channel is just him having us compete to see who can keep scammers on for the longest. So it's me, Plouf, Adam, and Elijah, and Kit, if I recall correctly. All 5 of us took a whack at it. I might have some of these details wrong, but the point is the shtick for it was that we don't just keep them on the phone, because honestly that's relatively easy. You have someone off camera holding up a piece of paper with stuff you have to say, stuff that you have to insert in the conversation. So that's where some of these like wackadoodle things, who's your daddy, you have to tell them you're so lonely, no one came to my birthday party. Will you be my friend? You have to ask if their mom's single. Like, just... oh, so painful. So painful. Anyway, it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Oh, that's exciting.
Don't miss it. So cool, new Android scam protections. Seems like progress, but it's also hard to look at this and say anything but, like, feels like too little too late, but let's see how it goes.
This is stupid. Ow! What? Dumbass toy.
Plush Nicole. 10 times meaner than real Nicole. Get her today. Won't actually kill you.
Janice Quarter, a premier shopping destination. Discover style, adventure, and endless energy. Everything you're looking for is here.
both were wrong. Okay, let's brand the thing. Here, probably.
The Thieves Guild, introduced to fantasy media by Fritz Leiber in the 1940s, has quickly become a staple of high fantasy world building. From the Elder Scrolls to Discworld to every D&D setting ever, the trope has become so useful and enduring that it is rather pervasive in modern fantasy media. But is a Thieves Guild historically accurate? Is it realistic in a fantasy setting? And if no, what needs to be in place before a Thieves Guild can spring up? All this and more will be discussed in this very video, so stay tuned. To our first question, and a simple answer for once: no. Thieves Guilds have never existed in any historical context in our world. Sure, organised crime has a long and well-documented history, but a guild-like organisation operating as an umbrella under which all thieves in a locality likely work, with strict hierarchies and clear delineations of authority and rank, is not historically viable or realistic. This is no simple street gang, mafia, or cartel. A Thieves Guild must be responsible for training young talent, representing its members well, both politically and socially, and collecting dues from those involved while shunning those who try to participate in the profession outside of the guild structure. Theoretically, to be a guild at all, it must be recognised by official power structures, a fact which Pratchett plays a lot on in his Thieves Guild in Agmalpok. Technically, a guild should have a political seat at the table and pay taxes to local authorities. This may be taking the guild label a little too seriously, though, for our purposes. So surely at some point in history, there has to have been some grand secret society with its own hierarchy puppeteering all crime in a certain location, right? Well, I'm afraid that isn't really historical either. Famous examples like the Garduña in Spain, who are imagined as a gang-turned-secret society in league with the Inquisition for hundreds of years, have almost no evidence to even support their potential existence in the entire time period. Sure, that's what they'd want you to think. But realistically, an organisation of that size and scope would need significant records of assets and contracts. Hard to hide from anyone for that length of time, especially from the prying eyes of historians. The closest we really get are elaborate scams, wherein a ringleader employs thieves, cut purses and pickpockets to steal items, and then might sell those items back to their owners for a price. Such groups did exist in pockets around the Ottoman Empire, and one famous example of this comes to us from a Mr. Jonathan Wild in London. Wild exploited those very same rumours, that same conspiratorial thinking that gets us imagining vast secret society of thieves by becoming the thief-taker general in his society. He was therefore one of the most accomplished men in the country at catching thieves and finding stolen property for a price, of course. To appease the authorities, he rooted out some uncooperative thieves from within his own organisation and ratted out rival thieves from other organisations to keep them off his back. But this all came to a head, really, when he tried to do in Jack Shepherd in this very same way. Shepherd had once worked under Wild. But was now striking out as an independent, and due to Shepherd's reasonable popularity among the public eye and skill in escaping, as well as some messy business on Wild's end, the whole sordid tale ends with Wild being physically attacked and hospitalized while his organization crumbles around him. And then all reaches a final conclusion of Wild's execution. The messiness, backstabbing, and the fact that most of the money went to Mr. Jonathan Wild should really show us exactly why historical thieves' guilds weren't really a thing. But frankly, common sense could tell us this too. Unlike a drug empire, where there is a product to be sold, or a mafia where protection money kind of has to keep coming in every month, or even a street gang whose numbers often outweigh any small forces of local authority who might come to resist them, the Thieves Guild model has a couple of serious problems. One, as semi-independent guild member operatives, the thieves are kind of out on their own. They're more likely to get caught up in sting operations or simply by bad luck. And two, there's no real guaranteed path to keep money rolling in, like with a product continuing to be sold or protection money that must be paid by the end of the month, for example. Even simple innovations in security in urban environments can result in massive ripple effects for an entire group of thieves trying to sustain themselves, like the invention of the pocket watch chain, for example. And any organization that relies on a lot of capital being tied up in physical assets is going to really struggle with the advent of modern banking methods or indeed a simple economic downturn. It is worth noting that Jonathan Wild's good times with his gang were really during the South Sea bubble, a huge kind of economic speculative boom time, which was too good to last. But I'd like to introduce something that is very much built to last. This is the Game Master's Chest by the Frontiers. So get your hand. Will lead in notions of ranks will be shipped to you. So get your hands on the Game Master's Chest that can hold a session or a whole campaign at the Kickstarter link in the description. But moving from an absolute steal to discussions of rampant thievery, we've discovered a few key issues with the practicalities of running a thieves guild. One, running a relatively decentralized organization wherein novices and apprentices are expected to hone their crafts on the job will lead to many new members being caught picking or cutting pockets. If you have guild-style protections, the guild has a duty to help its due-paying members, either paying bails or bonds, making their stay in jail at least comfortable, lobbying guards or politicians, paying bribes, or getting people out of jail either through lobbying or breaking them out.
Well,
sure, it's the embodiment of honor among thieves, but frankly, this could get expensive fast. Speaking of expensive, you need wealthy enough targets and lax enough law enforcement, otherwise a guild dies a slow death even during a simple economic downturn. Add to that the fact that your guild likely represents every thief in town, and every single arrest made by law enforcement hurts you. Notwithstanding the fact that if you let your own guild members take the heat for even their own crimes, the guild structure is going to come crumbling down pretty quickly. This was a challenge faced by Wild, too, who also discovered another one, which is that even if a thieves guild doesn't exist or is impossible to exist, people still assume they do in this conspiratorial mindset, especially with less information than we have in our modern day. It is a real double-edged sword to be operating within a secret society that everyone assumes exists due to simple conspiratorial thinking. Wild used this to his advantage by backstabbing independents and less loyal members of his own group, but that's not really a guild, that's just organized crime with extra steps. And one final issue is that unlike blacksmithing and butchering, thievery is not a linear skill set. A cutpurse, armed robber, and cat burglar all need wildly different physical traits and different expertises and training. There's a reason why criminals tend to specialize early in their careers. A top-notch housebreaker might find it impossible to even try pickpocketing as he stands out too much in a crowd, for example, despite the former arguably earning more from each job than the pickpocket. By normal Thieves Guild logic in fantasy, the housebreaker would be on something of a higher tier than the young novice pickpocket, which really doesn't make sense as skill sets don't develop in that way. The point is really, as far as training is concerned, you're likely to need multiple masters in different specialisms, likely with some guild master on top of them overseeing the structure and planning the big jobs. So with all these obstacles, surely I'm standing in front of you today to completely smash the idea of a fantasy thieves guild, right? Well, not necessarily. Yes, there are absolutely preconditions that must be met for a thieves guild to even realistically exist. First, we need a prosperous region in the midst of some pretty good times. Stealing from the poor just so you can pay back your guild dues doesn't make an awful lot of sense. Sorry, Skyrim's Rift and Thieves Guild. Second, we need a strong unifying factor, a unifying sense of brotherhood, whereby any member of the guild is absolutely certain that the guild has their interests at heart and is not going to turn its back on them if it can help it. To support this, we really need the guild to have a pretty strong presence in governmental structures. Whether the guild is run by the vagabond youngest prince, a merchant famous and wealthy from his excellently timed investments, a famous athlete, warrior, independently wealthy hero or adventurer, politician, or backed by some wealthy foreign interests, your Thieves Guild needs a direct line to be able to talk about things with people who are very important. Otherwise, the guild has very little purpose and very little value to offer its members. We need significant corruption as a precondition for the guild's existence, which thankfully is there in much of history and almost all of fantasy. Otherwise, our young apprentice cutpurses keep getting their hands chopped off, or worst case, hanged. The guild therefore must at least have some semi-legit
Hello, Steel City Surge fans. Skippy here. This is your coach of the Steel City Surge. We are back for our third straight season within.
I haven't seen Conclave.
I mean, at least I didn't, make myself the Pope.
That's fair. Someone on the internet is now going to do that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. I would frame that. I'd put that in one of the girls' bedrooms and just not tell them. Be like, here you go. Pope Rafi.
New Pope. We can say Uber in this particular case.
Uber.
Could say, well, we're not going to settle without confidentiality.
As far as we know, this is the largest non-confidential settlement in the country that we've ever heard of. I want to start with the idea that we have settled a lot of rideshare cases, a lot of rideshare cases over the years, and we've never been able to talk about them in detail. Okay? And that's because, and I'm using rideshare here purposely because I don't want to talk about the cases we settled that we can't talk about by even saying the name of the company, right?
Why is it that every time we talk about cases, it's always there's something we can't talk about our cases or settlements?
Because the companies don't want us to, and a lot of people say out there, like, why do you guys agree to confidential settlements?
That's better for our client.
Yeah, let's start there because that's the first part of this. We need to, because our interest in making videos, although I like doing this, is secondary to the client's interest in being fully and fairly compensated, and they're our boss, we work for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for the greater public, it's better that these aren't confidential. For the individual that's hurt, or the victim of a crime, or whatever it may be, it's better for them to receive the compensation that they deserve, that they've probably needed for months, if not years, than to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, do you remember the Walmart case where Walmart harassed that cop, tried to get him to lie and change his story?
Do I?
Remember. Hey, look, it's been a while. When I put that video up, the number one comment was, you should have taken it to trial and proven, all this. Well, one, Walmart doing that stuff doesn't add value to the case necessarily. The client's injuries are still the client's injuries. And the judge would tell the jury, you're supposed to compensate the client if you choose to for their injuries and their injuries alone, not because you're mad at another party.
Right.
So technically, the jury should not do that. Sometimes do juries do that? Absolutely. But the number one comment was, you should have done that. And my response was, no. Once we found out about this, took action, Walmart then said, oh shit, and gave an amount of money that our client could not refuse. It would be bad judgment for me to say to my client, no, you should not take that. You should say no, because when we go to trial, Walmart was in such bad shape, you might get less. What good does that do for the client?
Yeah, at the end of the day, people think our job is to go try a bunch of cases. Our job is to get the amount of money that our clients deserve for their injuries, regardless of how it happens. If it is putting pressure on the defendant corporation because they did something bad, and then all of a sudden they magically start valuing the case like they should, well, that's quicker than going to trial. That's better than going to trial because it can't be appealed, and we settle the case for our client. If we have to try the case to get that fair compensation for our client, that's what we do. But at that point, we would hope that we've either exhausted everything we could possibly do to get full, fair value for our client, or we've set ourselves up to the point where if we're at trial, we're going to get a really good number.
Yeah, I mean, if we had a choice, we would try every case.
Oh, yeah. That'd be way more fun.
Right. That's like nobody's, I shouldn't say no one. There are a lot of people. We didn't become this type of lawyer to be like, please settle, please settle, please settle. Like go and beg like some other lawyers do.
Yeah.
But you try cases to not have to try cases. Like that's the reality. You try cases and you get good results. And then in your other cases that follow, lawyers and insurance companies on the other side go, oh yeah, we shouldn't try the case because look what happened over here.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's going to be it for this stream, considering I don't want to do anything else today. And it's already late, so yeah. Good luck.